Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update on this Tuesday, the 12th of March. And this Tuesday will start in Asia with Hang Seng. That this morning actually went higher to test the 17,135 resistance after closing above the cloud here Monday morning, just above 16,500. We are in a bullish trend, positive sentiment also on the RSI. And can we break higher and close above 17,135? Well, then there's room up to around 18,000, 18,200 resistance. The 200 moving average could give some resistance, however, but we are in an uptrend. You see higher highs, higher lows, and higher highs. So fairly strong market there in Hong Kong. On the US market, it was fairly quiet yesterday, a little bit lower, but not much, testing this rising trend line here that needs to be adjusted a little bit. Sorry about that. There we are, so it's still above it, and we are still above 5,057, which is the key support to look out for, but we still have this top and reversal pattern in place with the bearish engulfing. More or less same picture on Nasdaq, still above 17,808. That is the level to observe later today. Also, when we have, I believe we have CPI numbers later today that could cause some volatility. EUROSTOXX 50 a little bit higher today, but still around this rising trend line here. We can adjust that a little bit, and that's how it is with these trend lines. Sometimes you can adjust them just a little bit because they're merely just guidelines, whereas the horizontal ones, they're really strong support and resistance lines. So they should be, you should put more weight onto those than these ones. Of course, they are important when we are drawing some real patterns, but still they are not. They don't have to be pips perfect, as I say. DAX 17,620 still the key support that should be observed. A break below, a close below, then we will see a sell-off lower to around this gap area, I believe, and of course the test of this rising trend line there. The Amsterdam market. A little bit higher today, but still looks quite bearish or toppish. We have this rising wedge-like pattern here with, or is it a rising trend? It doesn't really matter, despite the fact that we are testing the lower rising trend line, and that is key. If we see a sell-off down to 837, which I believe we will see the next couple of days. We could see the next couple of days after this toppish candle here, where it seems like the sellers really took control and pushed it low. And there is still a divergence indicating we are at a trend exhaustion. Something that is not so much a trend exhaustion seems like CAC 40 higher level this morning. I can see that the future is taking a little bit lower. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's taking a little bit lower there. And there's a divergence on the RSI, so we could see it's maybe just the last gasp before a correction. But again, trust the trend, and it is still up. And key support is 7,875. That, of course, should be observed. What is interesting here on the SMI, we talked about it for a couple of days now. It actually did touch 11,730 resistance this morning. It is around that level, as you can see here. It's not completely, but this is where we had a lot of volatility, a lot of where it couldn't really move higher. You can also argue maybe it's up there, and there's no real, how can I say, rule about this. Of course, you try to look for a level where it touches the most. Most times where it touches a point, and this is around 11,730, and it seems like if we can get a peak in here today and a negative candle tomorrow, that's going to be interesting. There's still a little bit of divergence on the RSI, but really not much, as you can see, but still it is there, so maybe an exhaustive short term at least, but for now we're still happy if we are long the Swiss market. Euro dollar sliding back a little bit after hitting the 61.8 retracement at 109.70. I think we could test 109, and maybe we could have a little bit of volatility later today again with the numbers coming out. And the declining 55 moving average is still dragging on it a little bit, but we still have the 100 and the 200 moving average rising. So the underlying trend and sentiment is positive or bullish, and also illustrated by the positive sentiment on the relative strength index. Cable testing 127.75. Maybe we could move a little bit lower. What we can do is we can just add a little bit of retracement to it and see, okay, where could there be some potential? Well, we are currently at 38.2 retracement of this uptrend here, just around 127.75. RSI testing the 60 threshold. We could bounce from here, but it is not unlikely that we also dip down to the 61.8, all the way down to 127 and 20 each level around that. That is not unlikely, but the overall trend is up. It's just about how the strength of it, and it's not that convincing, but we have all moving averages rising, so the underlying bias is to the upside. Quite interestingly, on the dollar yen, that dipped below several times, 3 days in a row below the 786 retracement, 146.96. But it couldn't get all the way down to 145.90 or 85 level, and that is really key. It doesn't break that. I mean, we do have negative sentiment in our RSI, but it's not really unlikely. But I actually think we will see a little bit of a bounce. And if we move back above 148, well, then I think the correction is over, and I think we will move higher towards 149 and also possibly higher. So, but a little bit of a crossroad at the moment, below the 100 and below the 55 moving average. So it could also be locked in here. The next couple of days, but again, later today could the numbers coming out of US could also affect that one. Euro yen touching spot on the 61.8 retracement on 160.23, bouncing here, and we can also see that the RSI is bouncing off 40, so we could see Euro yen rebounding, moving higher. So, and there's no divergence on the RSI, meaning it is indicating this is merely just a correction, and we could move higher. We also have the 55, we had that across over the 100, all rising. So underlying bias and trend bullish. Also yen, also 61.8 retracement at 96.86. Just a few cents from it, and then we are bouncing, and also we have the RSI still in a positive sentiment. Didn't close below 40, but if it does break below here below the 61.8 and RSI drops below 40, well, then there could be sell-off further down to 96. But I think we will see it is rebounding. Sterling yen, keep an eye on 187.86. Strong support around this level, as you can see, tested several times now around this level. If it does close below or break below, and then I think we will see a sell-off down to around 160-ish level. And you can argue this is a double top, but it's not really. It's more. It's not really. And then you will say this. Then you need to put the line here. We can do that very quickly. That would be the value that needs to that we have taken out, and then we almost moved that most of the distance anyway. So let's see if we can get back above 189.15. Well, then we could see uptrend resuming. Aussie dollar can't really make his mind up, and here we also, it's illustrated very nicely and similar to a euro dollar, that the declining 55 moving average is kind of dragging on a little, holding it back despite RSI being positive. We are in an uptrend with higher high, higher low, higher high here. Can't really get away. We had this shooting star-like pattern here that is actually a top reversal. Then we have a bit of a engulfing, but it's not hard to engulf. So it's a little candle body there. So we could see Aussie dollar moving a little bit lower to maybe 65, 60ish level. But then we have the 100 and 200 moving average coming up, giving some support. Dollar Canada, really not much to report. It's still above 134.40. That's the key level. I know we spiked below, but it's holding on. I think we will slowly crawling a little bit higher. Finally, as usual on the dollar index, dipped below the 50%, almost down to the 61.8 at 102.06. But look at this, it actually touched the lower part of the cloud, and now we could see it pushing. I think we will see a move up to around 103, possibly a little bit higher, but then we have also 100 moving and 200 moving coming out down here. So being locked in here between these moving averages and the 102, I think that's the scenario you will see play out in the coming days. Gold, well, what can I say? It reached the 138.2 retracement at or projection, sorry, at 21.95. I think we will see a little bit of a setback, possibly down to 21.50, maybe testing this 21.34 that was so important for gold to break. We are still in an uptrend. We are still in a positive sentiment, but there it is a little bit stressed. So maybe we should have a bit of a correction. Silver really struggling at 24.60. As you can see, there's a minor resistance here, but it seems to be quite a significant one. But positive sentiment, we should see silver moving higher in the coming weeks, but it is not likely we could see a correction down to around 24 before the next upwards move. Not really much to report on oil. It's just trading with a bit of volatility, locking in between these levels here, and same picture on Brent, so I don't want to spend too much time on it these days. Finally, on the US Treasuries, that can actually see some volatility today. So it dipped down almost to 4%, which is the 61.8 retracement of this uptrend here. We have the 55 coming up, but then we have the 100 coming down there, and we have the 200. So we can also be locked in here between 4% and up to around maybe 420 in the coming weeks, but expect a lot of volatility. Still positive sentiment, so the underlying bias is short to medium term up, but longer term is a little bit down, and even longer, well, then it's flat. So it's all over the place at the moment and could be locked in here, sideways trading for quite some time. All right, that's all for today. A little bit long one, sorry about that. We have a lot to talk about, but have a nice day and happy trading.